Nearly locks down a first place finish, and the amount of interesting decks that are following up here is definitely interesting. Don't make the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We have your Iowa regional breakdown for you here. And yes, that is Kashtira taking down the majority of the top cut, actually, which, you know, what do you want me to tell you? I think a lot of people went into this with very high expectations going, you know, Kashtira is going to see a shift, all right? I'm telling you, man, like all these new decks, all these new competitors, yeah, there was a shakeup in the top cut. I mean, Kashtira has had a little bit of issues in the rest of the format, but the rest of the format is not giving way here, all right? Like, you still have to deal with full power Kashtira, and I'm sorry to tell you, but a walk and talking macro is not going to allow purely the chance to kind of, you know, take off. But in this one case, it actually did. Taking down first place out of this regional was actually purely, which I was actually very incredibly happy to hear, because considering everything that we have seen in terms of the format, what we were really expecting, I think that this was actually very nice. Now, we also had a branded deck walk its way into top cut as well, which I'm actually very happy to see that finally Despia is, you know, stepping into the light here, getting the chance to, you know, mess around with a lot of new ideas. I've seen so many different Despia ideas coming around, like whether or not they're playing Expulsion or not is all over the place. We also had Superheavy Samurai, which is the new sauce of the block, where players want to test out all these cool new heavy monster builds, which is fine. I actually like the idea that you can mess around with these different large variations in terms of monsters and get away with it. We also had a Spright deck enter into top cut as well. And anytime that you can see Spright return back to the metagame with a vengeance, that is what you want to hear. See, the Thunder loves hearing that Spright is back. All right, let's pass on over to those top deck list. All right, so starting off, we have Purely. Now, this is what you've been pretty used to being spoon-fed at this point in time in terms of deck list, where you see the Snows with the Brow here for that, you know, little draw package. Who doesn't love the fact that you can kind of toggle through all of these boss monsters, all the little Purely cards that aren't once per turn, by the way, and then go ahead and toggle through all different aspects of what you want to see for the combo. Well, it's really easy. Also, this build is playing the one Protector of the Agents Moon. This is something that we have kind of seen start to show up. I mean, a very generic Link monster for the deck, which is incredibly good. I mean, you have Drolls in here, you have the Divine Carnates, and you also have access to the Santa Claus here. The fact that, you know, if you're prepared to run into infinite Purely mirrors at this point in time, then that's kind of where you bring in the Santa Claus. It also deploys itself in defense mode, which is a little bit more value depending on what you want to mess around with here. I also like the little Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon that we got going on in here. All the more options that you can kind of bring into this deck and kind of make all of these different cool combo lines actually become viable. I think that's the unique experience that you tend to get with this deck overall. You know, it's how many different packages can we bring together? What can we make work for this deck? And the fact that, you know, Purely is still viably working out here, you know, adapting to the new ways. Good stuff. These new cards made this deck so good. Next up is Cash Money Dollar Bills. First of all, it amazes me, like, the fact that this deck just upped its entire hand trap count, all right? Like, let's be honest here. Oh, look, Shifter came back into the format. You know why Shifter came back into the format? Because Purely and Super Heavy look at their graveyards and they're like, oh, boy, I'm going to go ahead and drop a whole bunch of stuff in the graveyard. And then, you know, you see the Shifter resolve and you're like, oh, okay. It just took, you know, a change in the upper half of the metagame to bring Shifter right back. Now that, you know, Shifter was already falling out of favor last format, the fact that you just shift this right back on in here hurts so many more decks. And I think that that's going to be a very strong issue going forward here, is because you're going to have to deal with Shifter. The amount of decks now that are, you know, graveyard reliant is going to be pushed down. And until I think we see a shift in the meta, you know, like a ban list, I think that we're going to see Shifter sticking around for quite some time. Also keep in mind that this list did in fact opt for the Kumamungus here, which is fine. And then of course you have the Dark Roll No Mores in here for the board breaking Dark Ruler no more, just also shifted right back into the format. You see a very big shift in terms of hand traps. I mean, look at this, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 alone in the main deck right now. That's what you kind of have to rely on in order to play the game right now. So, Yu-Gi-Oh! All right. Oh, hey, look, it's our Despia list. 45 cards is, I think, fine. I think the thing that I find most interesting about this is this deck has truly become like the one-of monster, because, I mean, you're playing 1 Saronir, 1 Nubelion, which is fine. Yeah, you're on triple branded opening with your triple branded fusion for sure. But I think the thing that makes this list a little bit better is you're slamming down Crossout Designator for your 1 of Ogre, your 1 of Effect Veiler, your 1 of Ash, and your 1 of Imperm. The deck still is playing hand traps. It's just this duelist I don't think could really get the ratios down to the point that they really wanted them. Yes, we are citing the Expulsion as much as people really hate this card. It's fine. Now, I also like the fact that 5 Rainbow Magician has been something that this deck can just go ahead and plop on into it, and then you can automatically, you know, scale it up, and you get free wins against your Super Heavy Samurai matchup. The 5 Rainbow Magician is definitely a free auto-win button, and the fact that, you know, this does exist against, you know, Super Heavy Samurai decks, yeah, it's very, very good. A majority of your extra deck down here is also pretty good. In their video, they did talk about, I don't think that they made Albion at all. Once again, I mean, resources are linked down below, so you guys can check that out, so you can have a little bit of an idea on that as well. But, alright, interesting stuff. Next up here, look, it's Super Heavy Samurai. This build did opt for the Cyberstein. Now, interesting thing about this, while we're on the topic of Cyberstein here, a lot of people are not wanting to play Stein right now. The scary Imperm man is making a lot of people very hesitant to want to commit right now to Cyberstein. I think that's fine. But you do have to remember, I mean, it is, if you do see this resolve and you are able to deploy the Exterio, it does put you into a very, very big winning position. Also, Magical Hound has moved in right now. A lot of the lists that I have seen are taking advantage of Magical Hound because the card's absolutely nuts. Like, it handles so many issues. And then, of course, Spell Canceller here has also been another thing that has shown up because Cleavefort Genius allows automatic quick access to it. And I think because you do have such quick access to something like the Cyberstein here, you'll be able to kind of control your opponent and get things going. But, I mean, outside of that, a lot of the Super Heavy Samurai builds, I mean, you decide on, do I want to play more than 1 Regulus? Honestly, I think that's about it. You decide on, like, your hand traps in terms of ratios that you want to do, and then you kind of get a little bit of tech slots in your side deck. That is really about as much room as you get in terms of deck building for this deck. All right, next up here. Now, this is interesting. Hide Fallen of Arceus. If you control a level 2, rank 2, or link 2, you can special summon this card from your hand. All right, sure. Easy feasy. All right, same thing. All right, just free extender. You can only special summon one of these once per turn. This way, neither player can activate the effects of a link monster that points to this card. Oh, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, target 1 Exceed monster on the field. Detach 1 or 2 materials from it. You can only use this effect to Fallen of Arceus once per turn. Is that an interruption on anything that the opponent could actually deploy? Well, quite honestly, it is. Or if not, it's another extender for the deck, but it doesn't have Spright in the name, so it's a little bit of a disappointment, at least in regards of that. But this is one more piece that you can add into the arsenal of things here and have it actually work out for you. We are very, very extensive here with the Instant Fusion and the Ready Fusions here, so that you can go ahead and set up on into your rank toolbox here. But if you were expecting a lot of craziness, no. This deck just kind of took on a new form of defensive options here to allow it the chance to still kind of capitalize with the rest of the metagame. And I mean, keeping up with everything that's already going on, I mean, you have to rely a lot more on the control aspect of things. Thank you, Super Polymerization. There is only so much that you can really do out here in order to kind of keep up. Perfectly understandable, but list feels incredible. I will say Spright innovations out here are very, very nice. We have one more list for top 8 here. This is going to be the exact same list in terms of main deck that you saw for our earlier list in this video. But the main difference here was, instead of playing Kumamungus, they opted for Gamma-Seal. So two of essentially the same builds here, with just a difference in kaijus, actually showcasing that, hey, Kashtira still absolutely got it. That's what you want to see, right? So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.